You done heard 1,000 times before that there's no history of the Israelites ever being in Egypt, right? What if I told you that I found the city of the Hebrews in Egypt, hidden in plain sight? And I'm going to bring it out at the Passover. This Passover 2016. I'm going to drop today's word.
Before, if anyone could, please just drop £1 in the donation bucket. If you could, you know what I mean. One of our powerful captains are coming from the US soon. You know what I mean. We need as much donations as possible. You know what I mean. We're gonna rock the UK, looking to go London, Manchester, expand. So if you could, you know what I mean, drop £1 or 2 in the donation bucket. It would be appreciated. And to the last part of the lecture, we're gonna go into the Hispanics and Native Indians are the true Israelites also, and that they are actual relatives of the black man. We're going to prove that with history and with the Bible as well. So if you give me the next slide. Yes, so we're going to show that the indigenous people of these lands like Florida, the Bahamas, Cuba, Jamaica, the Arawak Indians, the Taino Indians, that they were Israelites also. And these white scholars, they know that, but they hide it from us and don't teach us this. Give us the next slide. Again, so with my last lecture, I proved that the Jews were black. And how I did that was by going into some curses that fit black people. And these curses also fit the Native Indians and the Hispanics also. And Dangobar, read that for me, please.
But it shall come to pass, if you do not obey the voice of the Lord your God.
So this is Moses speaking, and he's saying if we don't obey God, we done?
To observe carefully all his commandments and his statutes, which I command you today, that all these curses will come upon you and overtake you.
So the Most High said if we don't obey his commandments, that some curses are going to overtake us, and these curses are signs. So we're supposed to look for people with these curses on them. Now let's see some of these signs that's written up in Deuteronomy. Give me the next slide. And this is Deuteronomy 28 and 31. We're going to read about one of the curses, and we're going to see who that fits today. Read that for me out.
Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes.
And the Native Indians, their ox was slain. They had the buffalo, and the white man killed all their buffalo. Read.
And thou shalt not eat thereof.
And they didn't eat it. The white man came on their land and started to hunt all their buffalo, the buffalo that they needed for, they could use the skin for leather and so forth, and the fur for coats. And the white man has killed it for sport. Read.
Thine ass shall be violently taken away.
Read.
From before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies.
And that's what happened. Our enemies came in the land, came to the North Americans, and killed all the buffalo, killed all the bison. Next slide. And look at that. You see right there, the white man on a heap of buffalo. And our people needed the buffalo to survive. You can use the fat for candle wax and so forth. You can use the skin for leather to keep you warm in the winter. And the white man's killing it for sport. Next slide. Look at that. The white man's sitting on all these buffalo like it's a trophy. So how is our people, how are we meant to survive in the winter if the white man's killing all these buffalo? One buffalo can feed like 3-4 families. The leg alone can feed a family of 6. And this man's killing good buffalo and sitting on it like it's a trophy. Next slide. Again, and this is some, this is the website here. And this is some research that how the white man to kill the Native Indians buffalo. If you could read that for me out.
Choosing to then facilitate the extermination of the buffalo population, the US Army opened their forts and bases to hunters and game catchers.
So what they did was, after coming to America and robbing their land, they made it legal for hunters to kill more bison, to kill more buffalo. They promoted hunting. Read.
For their own needs.
For their own needs, which was hunting, just for fun. But we needed this stuff to survive. Read.
Ignoring the already established treaties between the US and Native American tribes.
And that's how you know the white man's the devil. It's saying how this man ignored the treaties that were established. So the Native Indians had treaties saying that you can't hunt no buffalo. And the white man ignored these treaties and still killed the buffalo. The white man don't obey his own laws. And that's what you see today. This white, we put our hands up and the white man still shoots us in our back.
Right.
You know what I mean? He put drugs in our neighborhoods and locks us up for selling these same drugs. He don't obey his own laws. Read.
The government turned a blind eye as the new American hunters mercilessly slaughtered bison for sport.
And now what the white man does, he turns a blind eye. You know what I mean? Black men have people fighting. The white man says that it's abusive to animals. Meanwhile, he has fox hunting, and they turn a blind eye to that. You know what I mean? Anything we do, you want to lock us up for, but when they got a sport, that's wrong. They turn a blind eye to it, and that's what they've done here, read.
While reprimanding Indians who hunted cattle for food.
So the native Indian, we needed that for food. We killed him in a moderation. This man's killing them for sport. Next slide. This is Deuteronomy 28, 49, another curse. We're going to see who this fits, read.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth.
And we're gonna find out that this nation was the Spaniards, the Spanish conquistadors that came on the land and killed all the native Indians and killed the Taino and the Arawak Indians also, read.
As swift as an eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
And we didn't understand their tongue because they spoke Spanish, read.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor shall show favour to the young.
And this nation didn't care if he was old or if he was young. This nation didn't care. Next slide. We're going to read the Taino genocide from 1492 to 1518, read.
Is where the Spanish wiped out most of the Tainos, the Arawaks.
And this is when the Taino genocide is when the Spanish wiped out most of the Taino Arawak Indians, read.
Which were the native people of the northern Caribbean.
And these people dwelt in the Caribbean before black people was there. These Taino Indians was what occupied the Caribbean before we got there, read.
Present day Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and the Bahamas, etc. Columbus himself set in motion and oversaw it until 1500.
Next slide, please. And read that for me now.
Mainly a short account of the destruction of the Indies from 1542 by Bartolome de las Casas.
And this is a short account of what they did to our people. Keep in mind the curse said that these people come on our land and kill the old person and the young person and won't regard us. Next slide. Read that for me now.
According to one estimate, genocide and disease wiped out 3 million of the 3.5 million Taínos, 85%.
So the white man came to our land and killed 3.5 million just with diseases alone. Read on.
Most were already dead when smallpox arrived in 1518.
Read on.
Columbus noticed two things about the Taínos. They wore gold jewellery. Their most advanced weapon was the spear. Columbus, with 50 men, could subjugate them all and make them do whatever they want.
So just with 50 men, Columbus could do whatever he wanted to our people. Next slide.
Columbus made La Taína, the land of the Taínos, a living hell.
And that's what the white man done when he came to our land. He turned it into hell. He forced our people to go find gold. And when they couldn't find gold, he'll cut their hands off. Read on.
It went way beyond simply killing those who fought the Spanish rule. The Spanish had the Taínos grilled, cut up into pieces like sheep.
So stop there. So the Bible said that this man shouldn't regard the young or the old. So it went further than just killing our people. He started to grill the Taino Indians, cut them up into pieces like sheep. Read on.
Run down by hunting dogs and torn to pieces.
So had us been torn to pieces by hound dogs, read.
Strung up and burned alive.
And strung up and burnt alive, read.
13 at a time, in memory of Jesus and his 12 apostles, short 3.
So this man burnt our people, grilled us alive. Can you imagine how it feels to be grilled alive on a barbecue? Grilled us alive, strung us up, got us torn to pieces by dogs. Next slide.
They killed every woman and children.
And the Bible said this man wouldn't regard the woman or the children or the old. And it said they killed every woman and children. Read.
Even babies.
Even babies are killed. This man. So the prophecy points to these people.
That's right.
They killed the young, the woman, even the babies. Read.
The Spanish threw babies against the rocks and into the rivers.
So that they threw babies against rocks. This is that prophecy written of in Deuteronomy 28. How they wouldn't regard the children or the old man. Read.
And laughed.
And they laughed. This was amusing to them. That's, you know, the white man's the devil. Read on.
They cut off pieces of the Taínos for entertainment.
So just for entertainment, they killed them. Same thing they done to the black man, just for entertainment. They'll make us fight each other and gouge out each other's eyes like what you saw in Django. Read on.
They cut off their heads for practice. and they raped their women and girls.
So just for practice, just for sport, they'll cut people's heads off. Read on.
They even raped the wife of the king.
Read.
The Spanish were kinder to their animals than the Taínos.
So the Spanish were more kind to their pet dog, their horse. They was more kind to their animals than to living human beings. Read.
If a Taíno killed a Spaniard, the Spanish killed 100 Taínos in return.
And that's what you see. That's the same today. The white man's the same today. The white man loves animals more than black people. If you beat a dog, he calls it animal cruelty. Meanwhile, he shot Trayvon Martin in his back, shot Mark Duggan dead in the street. But if you beat an animal, he calls that animal cruelty. The white man ain't changed a bit. Read on.
They killed Taínos by the thousands.
And they killed these people by the thousands. Read.
Even those who brought them food and gifts.
Read on.
They killed half the people of the kingdom of Maguana outright.
Not probably right. Next line. Alright, read that for me out.
For Taíno men, that meant working in the mines.
So they forced Taíno men to work in the mines to get coal and diamonds. Read.
Often being worked to death.
And worked them to death. Read on.
As many as 90% died within the first 3 months.
So just within 3 months, 90% of the men died. That's a big number. Just in 3 months. Read on.
For Taíno women, that meant working on the land. Even the heavy work that men used to do.
So because the men died, they forced the women to work. They didn't care if they was fragile and dainty. They forced them to work. So this is that prophecy that said that they didn't care about the woman, the young or the old. Read.
There was so little food that babies died for lack of milk.
So even babies died. They didn't care about the babies. Read on.
Children died from hunger by the thousands. Men were worked so hard in the mines that few children were born.
So because men was working so hard, they didn't have time to spend with their woman and reprocreate. They were too busy getting them diamonds, working in them coal mines. Read on.
Columbus demanded a certain amount of gold or cotton from each Taíno over the age of 13. Those who failed to meet his demands had their hands cut off.
So if you were over the age of 13, you was demanded to go and work. And if you didn't bring back a certain amount of gold, he would cut your hands off. In other history books, he cut their noses off as well. And that's where you get that saying, you cut your nose off to spite your face. Read on. Sorry, next slide. And look at this. You see Taíno brothers ripped by hound dogs, while these Spanish devils are sitting over them laughing like it's entertainment. Next slide. And look at that. Look, you got the brother here with no nose. And the another brother here get his hand cut off because he couldn't bring back enough gold. That's what they did to our people. These people are the real Jews and they fit the prophecies in the Bible. No other nation went through these atrocities but the blacks and Hispanics. Next slide. And look at this. It said they should regard the person of the young or the old. Look at him stringing up the Taínos by the neck under a fire. And this devil here got a baby by his legs and they're about to dash him against, I think it's a tree. And that's the prophecy spoken of right there. How they don't care about the woman or the old man or even the baby. Next slide. Again, people. This is what people like to ask: how many Native American Indians were killed? It's estimated that between 80 to 100 million natives people may have been killed as a result of disease. So the white man not only killed our people by the sword, but he gave them smallpox in their blankets, which wiped them out. That's genocide right there. Next slide. And look, if you go, all you gotta do is go on Wikipedia and type in the massacre of the Native American Indians. And look at all these tribes. These are all the tribes that they massacred. I couldn't even get, I stopped at Y because it couldn't fit in the screen. I couldn't even get X and Z. Look at all these tribes the white man massacred. All these battles, the battles of Ash, the battles of Bad Axe, the battles of Kashmir Mound. Look at all the people he murdered. The Native Indians who are the real Jews. The white man massacred them. Next slide. And again, him and his navy shot the Native Indians. Next slide. And this is Genesis 49 and 19. A troop about this is a prophecy of what will happen to the Native Indians. You can read that for me out here.
Gad, a troop shall overcome him.
And the Bible says Gad, through the Native American Indians, that's the tribe of Gad. It said a troop shall overcome him. And here is the definition of a troop: a group of soldiers, especially a cavalry. Keep that in mind. Next slide. U.S. Cavalry, who was known for killing the Native American Indians, the U.S. Cavalry. And the Bible said a troop or cavalry shall overcome him. And that cavalry is the U.S. Cavalry, led by General Mustard. Next slide. Read that, Deuteronomy 28:68, read.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
And again, the word Egypt is a Greek word, Egyptos, meaning slavery or bondage. And it said, the Lord shall bring thee into slavery with ships. Read.
By the way whereof I spoke unto thee, thou shalt see it again no more.
And we ain't seen our homeland no more. Read.
And there you shall be sold unto your enemies.
And we were sold to our enemies. Read on.
For bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
And that buy is old Quaker English for save. No man has saved black people. We had Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, and black people are still in these bad conditions to this day. The next slide. Again, so a lot of people say that what Native Americans and Iraq Indians were carried in slave ships. We're going to go in history and prove that that's a lie. Native Americans and Hispanics were also carried in slave ships as well. And they fit that prophecy as well as the black man. Read that for me out.
Because Columbus captured more Indian slaves than he could transport to Spain in his small ships.
So this man had so much slaves he couldn't even transport them all in his ships, showing that they was carried to Spain in ships. And this man had so much of them he couldn't even carry them all. Read.
He put them into work in mines and plantations.
And he made the Indians work on mines and plantations because they couldn't fit in the ships. Read on.
Which he, his family and his followers created throughout the Caribbean.
Read on.
His marauding band hunted Indians for sport and profit, beating, raping, torturing, killing, and then using Indian bodies as food for their hunting dogs.
Again, just to prove the fact that the native Indians, they also were on slave ships. The Iraq Indians, Taino Indians, they also were on slave ships, but they was carried to Spain, whereas we was carried to England. The next slide. Read that for me out. Numbers 15:38.
Speak unto the children of Israel and bid them that they make fringes in the borders of their garment.
Okay, so this is the history of the Israelites, and the Bible says the Most High commanded that Moses tell them that when they make clothes, have fringes on their garments. That's what the Most High told the Israelites to do, have fringes on their garments, like what you see us that have. We have fringes in the border of blue on our garments. Did you read it from the top?
Speak unto the children of Israel and bid them that they make fringes in the borders of their garments.
So we're supposed to have fringes on the borders of our garments, meaning the edges of our garments. Read on.
Throughout their generations.
Read.
And that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue.
So we have fringes on our garments, and the undergarments have a ribbon of blue. So next slide. And look at this. This is a Taino chief's jacket. And look at his garment. Fringes all out his garment. Got ribbons of blue on the fringes. So this proves more that the native Indians and the Taino Indians, they are Israelites also. Look at the customs that they follow. They was following the Bible long before the white man came over there and murdered them. Next slide. And look at this. This is a native Indian woman. And as you can see here, the fringes on her garment. As you can see, a little native Indian baby there. She got the ribbon and the fringes on her garment, proving that these are the Israelites, and they were following the law written up in Numbers, that all Israelites on their garments should have fringes. Next slide. Okay, give me Matthew 20 and 22, just proving that our people had fringes on their garments, and Christ himself had fringes on his garments too. Read.
And behold, a woman which was diseased with an issue of blood 12 years.
So there was a woman that had an issue of blood, and she came to Christ and he healed her. But we're going to get to the point. Read.
Came behind him and touched the hem of his garment.
So this woman went to Christ and touched the hem of his garment. Next slide. So we're going to go into the word hem, what it means in the Hebrew, in the Greek, sorry. And that's the word hem there. G2899. Next slide. And that's the same word there. And it says, the extremity, prominent part, skirt, margin, the fringe of the garment. So if this woman touched the hem of Christ's garment, and here it's saying the hem is a fringe, then Jesus Christ himself had fringes.
That's right.
Our people wore fringes in the Bible, and that's why you see the native Indians have fringes. You see the Taino Indians have fringes. You know why? Because they are the Israelites, and they were following the customs which was written up in the Bible. Next slide. And this is just another prophecy, what happened to the native Indians, because many people say, but they ain't black, they're lighter than us, they're not black, they can't be our people. But the Bible says why? Read that for me now.
Ephraim.
And the Bible says Ephraim. Ephraim is the head tribe of the North American Indians and the Hispanics. Read.
He have mixed himself among the people.
And he mixed himself among the people. His men started to marry the Spaniards that overtake him. Read on.
Ephraim is as a cake not turned.
He's like a cake not turned. If you have a pancake and you just leave it to cook and you don't flip it, one side light, the other side dark. Next slide. And that's where you get Puerto Ricans like this. That's where you get Pele. That's where you get Puerto Ricans as light as J-Lo, and you get Puerto Ricans as dark as what's it, Alpo or Rico from Paid in Full. That's where you get that. because the Bible prophesied what will happen when it was overtaken. They're mixed among the people. Give me the next slide. Again, people say, our native Indians ain't dark, they ain't dark skin, they ain't black, because they watch a lot of cowboy movies, but they are black. Look at these. You can buy this book called The Black Indian. And look, that's a black man and his wife right there. And the Indian's dark. Look, his native Indian here, she's dark. This one is dark also. So the native Indians were dark. They're not what you see on these cowboy films. The native Indians were black people too. Next slide. Again, this is a guy called James Adair, who he did the research. You know, he had the credentials. This is just his background here. He had the credentials and he researched the native Indians, and he found out that they were the Israelites also. So James Adair, a native countryman of Ireland who went to North America and became a trader with the North American Indians. So this man studied the native Indians. He went over there, saw how they lived, saw their customs. Next slide. And this is his book here, The History of the American Indians by James Adair. Next slide. And this is page 123 in section 11. It says, their laws of uncleanliness. The Indians have a custom of constant to the Mosaic law of uncleanliness. They oblige their women in their lunar retreats, meaning in their cycle, to build small huts. Next slide. And look, this goes hand in hand with the Bible. Read that for me.
And if a woman have an issue, and her issue in the flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days.
So they were following this law. When their woman was on their monthly, they set them apart 7 days. They had huts outside their villages where the woman will go for 7 days. Read.
And whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean until even.
Read on.
And everything that she lieth upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sitteth upon shall be unclean.
Again, so why were the native Indians, who apparently the white man said they were savages? Savages don't have laws like this. Savages eat what they want, live how they want. I've never seen a savage have a good government like this, and they were following this law. When their woman was on their monthly, they set them apart. That's the law they followed. You know why? Because they're the Israelites. The book of Leviticus was written for Israelites. Next slide. And this is another one. Their cities of refuge. The Israelites had cities of refuge, a place of safety for those who killed a person unawares. So if a man was to kill a man by accident, I'll break it down briefly. He will go to a city to hide out, so people won't want to revenge their siblings and kill him. This was just before the trial. So after the trial, if he was found guilty, then fair enough, they'll kill him. But before that, he will flee to the city until the trial was sorted. And without design or shelter from them, bloodthirsty relations. So he will dwell in the cities so other people wouldn't kill him. Next slide. And this is written up in the Bible. This is where they got it from. Read that for me out.
Then you shall appoint you cities to be cities of refuge for you.
There you go. So we have cities for refuge. Read on.
That the slayer may flee thither.
So if a man slays someone by accident, he will flee to these cities so someone wouldn't kill him. Read.
Which killeth any person at unawares.
So any man that kills someone by accident, unawares, means he didn't know about it. Read.
And they shall be unto you cities for refuge.
And us in the Bible, the Israelites in the Bible had cities for refuge. So why are these savages, these native Indians, as the white man calls them, these savages, why do they have laws like this that's written up in the Bible? It's further proof that they are the real Jews. Next slide. Another one now is page 109, page 108.9. They raised up seed for their deceased brother. You read that for me out.
The surviving brother by the Mosaic law was said to raise seed to a deceased brother who left the widow.
Okay, so if you had two brothers and one died, and the woman had no children for that brother, what would happen if that brother would marry his wife, and the first child that comes from him, that would be in the name of the dead brother? That's what these native Indians were doing here when James Adair went to their country. Read on.
Who left the widow childless to perpetuate his name and family.
And there you go. So what would happen is the deceased brother, his brother that's alive, the next in line, he will take his wife and give her a child, and that child will be in the name of the dead brother. Now let's see where they got this from. Let's see if these were savages. Next slide. Read that for me out.
Deuteronomy chapter 25 verses 5 to 9. If brethren dwell together and one of them die,
So we're saying his two brothers dwell together and one of them died. Read.
and have no child,
And he had no child. He died and left his wife with no children. Read.
The wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger.
And it goes, the wife should not marry without to a stranger, meaning she can't go to another man or anyone she wants to. Read.
Her husband's brother shall go in unto her.
So her husband's brother, he shall marry her. Read.
And take her to him to his and take her to him to wife.
So that's what happens if two brothers were dwelling together, one died, the brother that's alive, he would take his deceased brother's wife to marry. Read.
And perform the duty of a husband's brother unto her.
Exactly, that's been up in the Bible, and that's where they got it from. And this historian went to the land and he saw them practicing these customs. So these are the real Jews also. These are our relatives. The next slide. Give me Genesis 38 and 8. This is just an example of a man raising up seed for his brother in the Bible, to showing that it did happen also in the Bible. You read that for me up.
And Judah said to Onan, go into thy brother's wife and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother.
So this is what, there was a man in the Bible that couldn't have no children. So Judah said to his son to go to the man's wife and get her pregnant. That's just an account of it happening in the Bible. Next slide. And this is another book called The Lost Tribe in the Promised Land by Ronald Sanders. This man was he was a historian, and people told him that the Native Indians and the Hispanics were real Jews, and he wrote this book to say that they're not real Jews. And while he was doing it, he found out that actually they were. Give me page 364, next slide. And this is what it says here. This is an historian that he quoted, Montesinos, a historian that went to the Americas, and when he went there, this is what he saw. Waving a banner high in the air, the Indian guide soon was greeted by a puff of smoke, and far behind the other bank of the river, in response to the signal, two men waited. Eventually, in a canoe, appeared bearing three men. Montesinos standing afar off. I'll skip to the point. Okay, then, so this historian Montesinos, he's around the Native Indians and he studied them, and this is what he saw one of the Native Indians say. Upon hearing her words, they rose, went over to Montesinos, and to his utter astonishment, said, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elohai, Adonai Akkad, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. So this man went to an Indian chief, and this Indian chief quoted Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elohai, Adonai Akkad. That's what this chief quoted, and it means, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. Next slide. And this is where she got it from, Deuteronomy 6 and 4. So why are Native Indians reciting passages from the Bible? It's right there. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. You know, and that's it in the Hebrew as well. You can also see it in the Hebrew. So these Native Indians will recite, they spoke Hebrew, and they will recite in Deuteronomy 6 and 4. Next slide. And this is second Esdras in the Bible. You could read that for me.
Those are the
We're going to find out how they got to America. Read.
Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osei the king, who Salmanasseh the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
So our people left captivity and went over the waters, went to another land. Read.
But they took counsel among themselves.
So we took counsel amongst ourselves. We had a council. Read.
That they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
So we took counsel that we're going to go to another country where mankind never dwelt, and that land is America. And that's why if you do any history, you can't find anyone dwelling in America before the Native Indians.
That's right.
Read.
That they might keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river.
So they went on a boat and they went to the Euphrates. Read.
For the Most High had shown them the signs. For the Most High then showed the signs for them, and held still the flood.
So the Most High held back the waves and the warring waves, so our ships don't overflow. Read.
Till they were passed over.
Read on.
For though that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half.
So it took us a year and a half to get to America. Read.
And the same region is called Asareth.
It's called what?
Asareth.
So the new land which the Jews went to was called Asareth. Keep that in mind. Next slide. And look what it says. This is the definition of Asareth. It said, keep in mind, it said that we came out of slavery and we went to a land and we called it Asareth. And this is the Jewish encyclopedia. And this is the definition of Asareth. Read the definition of it's there.
The name of The name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell.
And that's what we just read. The 10 tribes of Israel went to the land of Ashereth. Read.
Observing the laws of Moses until the time of restoration, according to Ezra. Is that 4 or 6?
I'll skip that.
Yeah. Columbus identified America with this land.
Read that part again.
Columbus identified America with this land.
So Christopher Columbus said that Ashereth was America. So it's not just me saying that Ashereth is America. Christopher Columbus himself said that Ashereth was America. And who dwelt in America when he got there? The Native Indians, the Hispanics. They dwelt in that land. Next slide. If you could read that for me. This is from the book of the Lost Tribe and the Promised Lands. Read that. We're going to prove that Christopher Columbus wasn't just exploring the world looking for India. They say that Christopher Columbus thought the world was flat. That's a lie. He knew where he was going. And this is his memoirs here, his own memoirs. And in his own memoirs, he said that he was looking for the real Jews, how he read the Bible, and he read that the real Jews are in America, and he's looking for slaves, and they're going to go find them. Get that for me up.
A striking element in Columbus's geographical religiosity is his intense and abiding interest in the 4th or 2nd book of Esdras.
So the same book of Esdras, where it said that they went into a new land where no kind dwelt. It said Christopher Columbus was fascinated with this book, and this is his own memoirs. Read on.
The 2 apocryphal books of Esdras purport to be additional writings by and about the Old Testament Ezra, but the 2nd or 4th book is a piece of full-fledged Hellenistic apocalyptic writing that was often regarded with suspicion by the church, and just as often embraced by the heterodox. Augustine had given guarded approval to Ezra's prophetic claims.
So Augustine gave approval and said that the book of Esdras is prophetic, and that's why Christopher Columbus went to this land. He wasn't searching the land looking for India. He knew where he was going for. He knew he wanted to capture the 10 lost tribes. Next slide. Is that it? Okay, yeah, that's the end of the lecture anyway. But as I said, Captain Mashapmian's coming to the UK. So if you could, any donations, with that, it's a shalom.
When nowadays I work hard on the job till I come cross y'all. Still like I'm a criminal. Crime and get caught, it could be your first charge. Like, man, you ain't getting the minimum. It go dip, squat, 5 mile run, push, pull, sit on. Goddamn, that's strong. Looking at my baby, trying to keep them doing wrong. It's too long for they grow. I can't leave them on their own. They killed Daddy like he had a 30-day cake. The news covering up the story for what they say. It took me back to the time we lost Otis. Pretending these crackers, they gon' tell you something bogus. And I'm thinking like, damn, what you telling kids? We try to put up a fight, but did we fail the kids? Cause they really got us looking like no damn good. And why success got to cost my man